Now, stop humming this here, everything done changed. That warp tool make you open your brain. Eric Vanek is here, so remember the name. He got the waiver wire for the week. Tell you who to start and who to give a seat. Dropping the podcast every week. You know the knowledge is elite. After the show, we gon' hold a Lombardi. Celebrating like we throwing a party. This the blueprint and I know they gon' copy. Harmon intros always go the hardest, cause this is America's game.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to America's Game, episode number 24. I am your host, Eric Vanek, and you can find me on Twitter at Eric Vanek NFL. And as always, joined by my co-host, Mike. What's going on, Mike?
Man, every time I watch that intro video when we do this, it just makes me sadder and sadder. Eagles are so far away from that 2017 Super Bowl, right? We just keep going downhill. And then it always finishes off with, last year, of course, just getting beat by Sky Moore, of all fucking people.
Yeah, when I watch it, I go full eggplant, man. That thing is so sweet. The whole intro, the whole song. Yeah, full eggplant for me, for sure.
Let's go. I'm doing good, though. Off-season's here, finally.
Yes. Playoffs starting this week, man. Finally here. Jim Mora, playoffs.
Yeah, for some of us, we get to watch our teams in the playoffs now. You're a little bit probably more excited to watch the Browns in the playoffs, a little bit more hopium. I'm just waiting for that ass whooping.
Here it is, the Joe Flacco. I got it. Wearing it.
He ain't messing around.
No. That fucker wins one game, we're building a fucking statue.
Would you get that at like Aldi's?
No. That's old fanatics for you.
There it is.
Yeah, had to have that one shipped out pretty quickly, but nah, man, I got
you don't have to worry about it because we got that comeback player of the year bet on him, right? Like you buy 10 jerseys, 15, 20.
I hope so, man. I hope he wins. If they give that to DeMar Hamlin, I'm going to be so pissed off. And I think a lot of people are, because that's going to be a joke.
Yeah.
It's a great story, but he doesn't deserve an award for it.
Pass.
Yeah. But yeah, man, playoffs. I wanted to talk a little bit about playoffs here with you. Want to talk about some of the coaching firings that happened so far and some of the changes that are going to be happening with that. And then I also have a fun little exercise there at the end that I think will benefit anybody that's doing any kind of playoff contest. So that'll be fun.
Let's go.
But yeah, let's start with these playoff games, man. Just talk a little bit about them. So the very first game is Saturday at 4:30. It's going to be the Browns at the Texans. What are your thoughts going into this game, man?
At the Texans was probably worst case scenario for you guys.
Well, I mean, we just fucking stomped on them in Houston, even though, I mean, it was Case Keenum, I get it.
Right.
But we've already gone there, we've already won, and it wasn't that long ago, so there is that. I mean, it is going up against C.J. Stroud, arguably the offensive rookie of the year.
Probably no question at this point, right? I know Puka was nice, but it just seems to be a QB award, don't it?
Usually, but Puka broke records, like the most catches,
True.
most receiving yards for a rookie receiver in NFL history. So I honestly think that one's 50-50. It's between those two of who's going to win it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this game, man? Do you think the Browns have a shot to go in there and knock off Houston? Or?
Definitely. With that defense, you always have a shot. I did see a great TikTok. Was it yesterday or the day before? Where it was, post game, every time C.J. Stroud was winning the game, he's hugging, the opposing quarterback, and they just kept having this caption like, "He's coming, he's coming." And at the end, it just shows like a mean picture of Myles Garrett. Like, get ready, C.J.
Yeah,
get ready for that dude. Yeah, you definitely have a chance. I'd be interested to see like what the point spread is on it.
It was 2.5. Browns were giving 2.5, so Texans got 2.5 at home.
So, yeah, they're not even getting – usually the home team gets, a full 3 points, usually. That's kind of where it starts, and then they move on from there. So,
right.
Road favorites, let's go.
Right, that's what I said.
Road favorites,
yeah,
let's go.
It's still at 2.5. I'll leave these up so I can check them while we're going through here. But, yeah, 2.5 point favorites for the Browns. Flacco, man, he's just been on fire. Hopefully they can keep that up. Cooper should be good to go, and Njoku, all those guys should be good to go.
You know, give it to me right now. I'm gonna take the Browns.
That's where I'm at. Yeah.
If I was gonna bet on this one, it's gonna be Browns money line.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I think it's gonna be a close game. Like I don't think Browns are gonna come in here and blow them out. But I think it's gonna be a good competitive game. I'm thinking like 27-24, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that probably. The over's only at 44.5 right now, so their Vegas is even thinking it's going to be a little bit less than that. So
right,
maybe a 23-20 game, something like that.
Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting with Stroud going up against this defense. He's only throwing 5 interceptions on the year too. Stroud. It was 1% of his throws were an interception, which is crazy to think about for a rookie. Yep. Yeah. So Stroud coming in here against a really good defense. Gonna be interesting, man. I think probably. I'm sad that this game is the first game. Usually the first 4:30 games a dog shit game. This isn't gonna be a dog shit game.
Yeah, that should have been like Eagles Bucks.
Yeah, instead we're gonna put that on Monday night instead. Their marquee matchup.
Yeah, they're gonna make me wait and just suffer. So
yeah,
thanks for that schedule. But yeah, I'll go Browns. I'll go Browns here.
Browns
on the money line. I'll take it.
Okay. Next game up is everyone's up and roar about it because it's on the cock. Well, you can only watch it on the cock.
Yeah.
Dolphins and Chiefs. Yeah. I think it's such a ploy or a big ball move by NFL to be like, yeah, we're going to make all these Taylor Swift fans pay for Peacock just to watch it.
Love it.
Yeah, and they're going to get all their $4.99s from all these Swift fans just to see her, a couple glimpses of her on the camera.
I love it. For the average NFL fan, I can see it's probably bullshit. But thankfully I already pay for.
Yeah, Peacock, same here.
I got to watch all my Office reruns, man. Just
WWE's on there, so I have all my WWE stuff.
Right.
IndyCar racing's on there, so I got all that. So I've already had this for years, so I could care less. I also my uncle was complaining, oh, if I was a fan of these two teams, I would bitch and blah blah blah. First off, they're gonna have it on local TV for Kansas City and Miami, anyways. Probably they usually do for like the Amazon Prime Thursday night games. It'll be on the local TV, so it's gonna be on the local TV for these two teams, anyways.
Just hope this isn't a bigger trend, right? They keep doing this more and more, right?
Oh, it's going to be. It's going to be because
I just mean I hope we don't get to the point where the fucking Super Bowl is on like some obscure streaming platform.
Yeah, and that'll never happen.
Like I gotta buy fucking Apple TV to watch the Super Bowl. Like fuck out of here.
That'll never happen. But I guarantee you this is going to happen more and more because I guarantee you this will be the highest streaming thing ever. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Has there been a bigger event?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is like WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few college games. Like I had to watch a few Iowa games on the cock this year.
Yeah.
Notre Dame. There was a big Notre Dame game that was on there.
Right.
And then Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. But
yeah, they usually do good. But I think this is gonna blow all those out of the water, man.
Hey, let's just be thankful it's not pay-per-view, though, right? Like, just be thankful we're not paying.
Well, it is pay-per-view. You got to pay for the subscription.
But you know what I mean. Like if I want to watch like an up-and-coming UFC fight that I'm pretty excited about, it's like, oh, there goes $90. A big-time boxing match. Like just for one event, I got to pay that much. Fuck that. Like the $6, I don't know what it is, $6, $7, $8, whatever it is for a month. Pay it, you cancel. Like I'll take that over, $80.
Right. I mean, shit, we watched WWE pay-per-views for $40, $50 a month, $60 a month, back in the day.
Yeah.
So
just don't make it a huge trend.
Yeah. But anyways, I think this is going to blow away any streaming numbers ever.
For sure.
This is going to be the highest, maybe 20, 30 million on this for easy.
I mean, on paper, you look at it, it's KC -4.
Yeah,
the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs, though.
On DraftKings, Dolphins are getting 4.5.
I think the big thing is Waddle good to go, right? And if he is playing, how healthy is he coming off that ankle? So.
Yeah, hopefully Mostert's good to go too. I think this is going to be a really interesting game, man. I really think Miami can go in there and win because Kansas City just hasn't done it this year, man. They've just been piss poor. But I definitely could see Kansas City still sneaking it out here. They're at home. You know, they got the playoff experience.
It is going to be brutal for the Dolphins too. We're not even talking like, hey, you're just going to the Midwest in January. Normally, you think, okay, it might be in the teens, 20s. It's going to be in the single digits. I'm pretty sure the high for this weekend, at least in the Midwest around where I am, like we're having like 2-degree highs. So
yeah, that's going to be tough.
Whew, hamstrings, tighten it up, baby.
Yeah, I think if I'm with you, I think I'm going. Chiefs.
I think I'll take the Chiefs because of the weather, but it's going to be a close one. The Dolphins do have the ability to knock them off, though.
Yeah, I could see it being another field goal game, and the Chiefs win, but Dolphins cover.
Ooh, I like that.
I think that's kind of what we're going to look
Chiefs
at there.
win, Dolphins cover. I could take that.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. But it could be another offensive explosion, man. The Miami's very good at running the ball. If you're in cold weather, you're going to probably run the ball. So if they can, get Mostert and a chain going, just knock off all these huge runs, open up a little bit for play action, the Tyreek and Waddle. I mean, they got a shot too. So
I think for me, the Chiefs have been a very underrated defense, like really stifling. L'Jarius Sneed's been awesome. Chris Jones has been awesome. They should have paid that man in the offseason, like really paid him. Locked him up. You're looking at the best defensive tackle in the entire league. Aaron Donald's still really good. Don't get that wrong.
Yeah, they're probably 1A and 1B.
Right, but Chris Jones is amazing. So couple that with the frigid temperatures of Kansas City, I'm taking the Chiefs.
Okay. Chiefs on their side of the ball, man. I think the one big thing is Chubb out, Jalen Phillips out for the Dolphins, and I don't know if they lost their third pass rusher. I know they lost another one on that Sunday night game there.
Yeah, Van Ginkel went out. I don't know what his status is.
Yeah, and then the fourth guy went out too on the special teams play. I think it was Cameron Good, I think his name was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they really have old-ass Melvin Ingram, and that's about it. So it's going to be interesting there on Miami, man. If they can't get pressure on Mahomes, then I think Mahomes should be able to pick them apart if these assholes can catch the ball.
Yeah, I'd be worried a little bit too, right? Xavier Howard was banged up. We didn't see him week 18, but we'll see.
Right.
If he's good to go for this game. Luckily for them, like at least the Dolphins' defense is, Travis Kelce's age has been showing. Kind of been slow. Just hasn't been great. They haven't been able to get the ball. So the really only offensive weapon is run the ball with Isaiah Pacheco or try to get it to Rashee Rice. So I think Ramsey could shut down Rice, the rookie.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking is, do they just let Ramsey shut down Rice, double team Kelsey or whatever you got to do there, and then what the hell? They have to be able to run the ball. Pacheco's going to have to run for like 150.
Right. They're going to have to really pound that football because even against, the backup corners or the nickel corners against Miami, like they're still better than Justin Watson, Tony, like all these shitty-ass wide receivers Kansas City's been rolling out, MVS.
Right. That's going to be a good game. Next game up, this should have been the 4:30 game. Pittsburgh at Buffalo. I think this one's going to be pretty easy for both of us, I think.
Yeah, Bills in a blowout.
Yeah, they're giving up. Bills are a 10-point favorite.
They're a 10-point favorite, and the over-under is only 36.5. So they're pretty much predicting Pittsburgh did not score.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that they're starting Mason Rudolph, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard anything? Yeah,
I haven't heard anything.
I mean, he's been 3-0, so I assume that they're starting Mason Rudolph. He's been one of the nice stories over the last month for sure. I always thought he was kind of He's better than Trubisky for sure.
Now, there's an opportunity in this game, but this is going to solely hinge, at least in my opinion, on big plays to George Pickens. Like, if Mason can connect with George Pickens for a couple bombs, all of a sudden we got a ball game. Now, if they can't get anything going down the field, it's done. Yeah. It's over.
I think Pittsburgh would have a little better shot if T.J. Watt was playing. That Watt got hurt there. I think it's that's a wrap.
Because that pressure could force Josh Allen into a few turnovers, a few Josh Allen bonehead plays where you're like, what are you doing? Damn it, you just threw the game away, that kind of thing. But no TJ Watt, no chance.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty easy. We can skip over this one. Buffalo's going to – I think they even covered the 10. I don't think it's even particularly close.
Nah, I would imagine 2 touchdowns, 17 points, something in that is the final margin of victory for Buffalo.
4:30, Packers at Cowboys. So that'll be another interesting game. We'll look up the point spread there.
7.5.
Packers are getting 7.5. Wow.
Right.
That's actually quite a bit. I think they could cover that. I think it could be another field goal game or 4-point game, something like that.
A 50.5 over under too, so relatively high scoring game.
Yeah.
I'd take the Packers with the points.
Yeah,
I think they have a realistic shot to knock them off, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they went in on Thanksgiving and beat the hell out of Detroit. So they've had some big wins on the road this year too. Yep. They're hitting on all cylinders. They went into that Sunday night game, Week 17, and they beat the shit out of the Vikings too. I mean, granted it's the Vikings, but
right.
The Vikings had been one of the better defenses over the last month or two of the season as well, once Flores really got those guys buying in. So, yeah, I mean, Packers are definitely one of the hottest teams in the league. Dallas has been pretty good, too. They've played a lot of tough teams here lately, Miami and, a couple Eagles games there. So they've had some tough tests, too. I think Dallas is going to win the game, but I wouldn't be shocked if Green Bay covers. This is kind of where I'm leaning.
So it's going to be interesting, even without possibly Christian Watson. If he is good to go, Christian Watson literally exposed the fuck out of this defense last year, right? That was his breakout game. Even if he can't go, Dallas is susceptible to the big play down the field, which Jordan Love has been extraordinary at. Jaden Reed has been a godsend, and Dontavian Wicks has also been very good at it. So the Packers' weapons, even without Christian Watson, can expose them for big plays. Deron Bland was a great story with all those pick sixes, right? Leading the league in interceptions, but he's also very. Do you remember Asante Samuel, kind of with the Eagles? Where it was like it was a pick or he was giving up a 60-yard touchdown. There was no real in between. Kind of the same thing. So, kind of a dangerous matchup for that Cowboys defense, right? Jordan Love can't hit him or gash him for big plays. So, I think I would definitely take the Packers with the points, and I might actually throw a bet down, $10 on Packers money line.
I don't blame you on that one either. If you could maybe get money line on that, maybe get Jordan Love over 270 passing, something like that.
There you go. Pair it with that. Yeah.
Yeah, pair it with that.
That could be a decent payoff.
Yeah, for sure. I think that could be a good one. Dallas side of the ball, what do you think they're going to have to do? Is it just going to be all CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah. Just do if I'm Dallas, I don't go away from what has been working. I figure out the way to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb first and foremost. You run Tony Pollard just to keep the defense honest, and then as the defense adjusts and really starts focusing on CD, now that opens it up for Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson, and then that's what you run your offense through. You don't worry about fucking Jalen Tolbert. You don't try to get Peyton Hendershot involved. You don't try to establish Rico Dottle. You don't go out and go, we're going to give Tony Pollard 25 carries up the gut. Just keep doing what the fuck was working for you all season.
Right. Okay. I'm good with that. And then, Green Bay, I mean, they got pretty much all their weapons healthy. Musgrave came back. Like you said, we'll see on Watson. But other than that, they'll have everybody back. Kraft has really come on the last couple of weeks, so now they have two really good tight ends. The wide receivers, go 3 or 4 deep there with Bo Melton's come on lately. You got the 2 running backs, Jones and Dillon. So, Green Bay's looking up there. And their defense isn't terrible. It's middle of the road.
It's middle of the road. They're going to need Jair Alexander to really fucking step up, though, and be Jair Alexander of old.
Yeah, for sure.
Slowing down CeeDee Lamb is not going to be an easy task.
No, not at all. All right, next game up on Sunday will be the night game. This is the most intriguing storyline for sure. Rams and Lions. Probably the game I'm looking forward to the most outside of the Browns.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Dan Campbell gonna have to salvage because there's gonna be a lot of questions with how he left people in last week and they just got fucking annihilated with injuries. So we'll see if Sam Laporta can actually go. Kind of conflicting reports. It looked bad, looked horrible. Then the report was a little bit better, and then the report was a little bit worse. So I have no idea where we're at with Sam Laporta, if he's going to play. If not, if he does play, he's going to be banged up and slowed. That sucks. Seemed like everybody got banged up with knee injuries, hyperextensions left and right. Not a great look for Week 18 for a game that really didn't fucking matter for that team to.
Right.
Now we're limping into a home playoff game for Detroit, the best Detroit football season I think we've seen since the early 90s. And this is what you're coming in with. Dan, I love Dan Campbell, but fuck, that was horrible last week.
Yeah. Not to mention you got Stafford coming back to Detroit in a playoff game where they never made the playoffs ever with Stafford, and they traded him away just because
I think
they were.
They made it one time, right? They lost to Dallas.
Well, they lost that New Orleans game.
I thought they played Dallas too with Stafford in a playoff game because there was like a horrible.
It might have been Dallas or New Orleans. I thought it was New Orleans because it was a high score and like.
If I remember right, it was the same year that Dez had that drop catch, whatever we want to phrase it, in Green Bay.
Yeah, you can look it up, but
because Dallas got like bailed out versus Detroit on a pass interference call, to basically kick a game-winning field goal or something the week before, and then they went up to Green Bay, and that was the controversy, the Dez catch or non-catch.
Right. Yeah, if you want to look it up, go ahead. But Stafford coming back to Detroit here, I think that's going to be really interesting. And then Goff against his former team too, the team that didn't want him anymore, that said he couldn't win anymore. Traded him away for, basically gave up a first-round pick to get rid of him or whatever it was. So, yeah, there's a lot of story in this game, a lot of intrigue. I think this is going to probably be very emotional game. I think this is going to be one of those, back and forth, just super emotional games. I think the point spread's 3 points. I think that's probably dead even. You can just pick them basically at that point. If I'm picking, I think I'm going to take the Rams. I think I'm going to take the Rams in this game. I think, like you said, with the injuries for Detroit, their defense hasn't been as good lately. You got Stafford with Nakua and Kupp and Higbee, all these guys, Kyron Williams. I think the Rams have enough firepower on offense to advance there for 1 week.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I'd take the Rams here in the upset, I guess, quote unquote upset. But to the point, Lions made the playoffs 3 times under Stafford. Okay. They lost to the Seahawks in 2016. They lost the wild card round to the Cowboys in the 2014 playoffs, and they lost to the Saints, which you brought up in the 2011 playoffs. So
that was the first. That was their first time in the playoffs since the 90s. That's the one I remembered.
Yeah, against the Seahawks, Stafford threw for 205 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, sacked 3 times. Versus the Cowboys, he had a good game, 323, a touchdown, 1 pick, 3 sacks. And then versus Saints, I bet that was a good Saints. Oh, Jesus Christ, he tore up the Saints.
Yeah.
380 and 3.
Yeah, that was with him and Calvin Johnson at their fucking peak.
Man. Yeah, but I did remember that Cowboys Detroit game, right? Because I fucking hate the Cowboys with passion as an Eagles fan, so you always want them to lose. But they had like a horrible DPI call against the Lions, towards the end of that game that allowed Dallas to go down and win it. So when the Dez catch happened or did not happen in Green Bay, I was like, yeah, that's what you get. Ball don't lie.
All right, last game, Eagles and Bucks. That's another 3-point game with the Bucks getting the 3 points. Eagles coming in limping, that's for sure.
Yes.
They've been awful this last month of the season.
Terrible.
A lot of injuries. A.J. Brown got hurt in the last game. Jalen Hurts broke a finger. Devontae Smith was banged up a couple weeks before that. Not looking great. Nope. I think they have enough to win, though.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see. What do you think? What's your gut saying?
I'm picking it. For whatever reason, Philly's favored on the road. I'll pick the Bucks. I'll take the Bucks in the 3 points.
Okay.
Easily.
Do you think the Eagles win the game and Bucks cover, or do you think Bucks just win it outright?
If the Eagles win, it's going to be a close game. And if the Eagles win, it relies on Nick Sirianni doing something that he hasn't done outside of maybe once or twice this year, and that's feed fucking DeAndre Swift the football. Establish the fucking run with Swift. Don't establish the run with Kenneth Gainwell. Establish it with Swift. That's your best running back by far. Take the pressure off of Jalen Hurts. Let him just do his thing with his bum finger, his bum receiving core. Everybody's banged up. And then the defense. You got to find a way to cover Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You got to find a way to cover Rachaad White, to stop Rachaad White. Up until, do you remember at the beginning of the year they played each other, and the Eagles handled, the Bucks, earlier in the season. But Rachaad White was the most effective running back against that Eagles defense that was playing lights out early in the season. And I was like, damn, man, they kind of exposed a little bit. And everybody since then has just been gashing this fucking defense. So, like, the Bucs figured it out a long time ago. Didn't lead to a win, but they kind of figured out, put the blueprint in place. So I think the second time around, the Buccaneers get it, to be completely honest.
My thing with that, too, is Tampa Bay is just as beat up, too. Like, they've limped into the playoffs barely. I mean, they won 9-0 that last week against, the Make-A-Wish team of Carolina. I mean, they're awful. 9-0. Baker's got broken ribs or something. He's banged up real bad. Mike Evans has not, ever since on America's Game, me and Mike said Mike Evans is the hammer. Go buy him for the playoff run. He has been dog shit. He's been absolutely awful. And I just don't. I mean, hopefully they can get it together there a little bit, but it hasn't been pretty, man, this last month. Like, Evans hasn't done anything. Godwin had one big game there. I don't know, man. I think Eagles cover and win this game. But it's going to be, probably a low scoring game. Maybe it's 20-10.
Right.
Something like that. 23-10, something like that.
I've gone back into the cocoon of being a normal Eagles fan where we're pessimistic about everything. Right. To fucking light the team on fire. We're terrible.
Right.
No one cares anymore. They fooled me for a little bit, but I'm back. I'm back to pessimistic Eagles fan. We're going to lose. Bad.
We'll see. Probably not the game I would have chose for Monday night, but we'll see how it goes. That's another thing, too, I don't like is... Obviously, if whoever wins this game, I think that they'll play on Sunday. They'll make them play on Sunday to give them that extra day. But making team play on Monday night when nobody else is playing, I don't know. I think it's a stupid thing to do. Have Monday night playoff games.
So if we get the Rams and let's say the Eagles win, what's that mean? The Rams are the ones who travel to San Francisco.
Yeah, Rams would go to San Francisco.
And it would be Eagles versus Cowboys.
Eagles, Cowboys. Yep.
Whew. Unless the Packers pull the upset, then I'm pretty sure the Packers would be the ones.
Right. And then in the AFC, if it happens how we think with Chiefs, Browns, Bills winning, that would be Bills and Chiefs playing and Browns going to Baltimore.
Oh, that would be a hell of a matchup, right? Joe Flacco going to Baltimore in the divisional route.
I'm personally kind of hoping that
I'd take it.
Yeah, I kind of want because of the Browns, if they win and the Bills win, they're going to either play Baltimore or Buffalo. I just don't want to play Baltimore or Buffalo. But it is what it is. I probably would rather play Baltimore than Buffalo, though, right now.
I'd rather see you guys play Baltimore. I think you'd have a better chance for Baltimore.
Yeah, we know them. We've played them. We've already beat them in Baltimore.
Division. Yep.
Division game. Yep. I mean, it's not like Lamar has had the greatest playoff track record either, so...
Yeah, there's no shot against the Ravens, but if I'm the Ravens too, I don't want to see a fucking division opponent I've already played twice. To everybody who
and then that would be
who
Buffalo.
Plays you tough. You talked about the Make-A-Wish game last week.
Right.
There's a reason, right? If those two teams aren't in the same division, maybe it's a blowout one way or the other, right? But those division games always seem to be close.
And then it'd be Buffalo and Chiefs. If Miami wins, though, Miami goes to Baltimore, and then the Browns would play the Bills. So I think that's a possibility, too, because I could see the Chiefs winning.
I could see...
or the Dolphins winning, I'm sorry.
I could honestly see a Bills-Browns AFC Championship game. I'd probably pick the Bills. So Bills.
I want to see a Browns-Dolphins AFC Championship game, so the Browns could have an AFC Championship game at home.
There you go.
And I could give up my life savings just to get one ticket.
I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah. So that's it for the playoff games. Let's talk about the coaching firings really quick. So,
thank God. Those were
So let's start with Atlanta. Arthur Smith got shit canned.
See ya.
So I was listening to the Athletic podcast, and they were talking about how Arthur Blank was really on the fence about this one. But I think ultimately that week 18 game, didn't really help things.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to stick with the GM for now. I mean, it's not like they've drafted bad. They've had some good draft picks. They've turned the defense around. They've had some good free agent signings like they talked about on the podcast.
Yeah, Jesse Bates was an amazing signing for him.
Yep. So it's not like they're doing terrible in that department, the GM at least. I think they just need a new coach. But I also don't blame Arthur Smith for the quarterback stuff. Like, this is what he's been given. Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke.
He's also had numerous opportunities to rectify that, too, if he wanted to.
Sure, they could have easily taken Justin Fields over Kyle Pitts.
Could have traded for Trey Lance in the offseason.
Could have traded for Trey Lance, yes. Could have did that. Some of these other quarterback signings, they could have, went out and got. They could have signed Joe Flacco. Could
have brought in Derek Carr last year if they wanted to.
Yeah, I think Carr kind of made up his decision pretty early, but...
Right.
So, yeah, they're going to need a new quarterback. If you look at Mariota, Ridder, and Heineke, like, those guys are never been, like, top 30 quarterbacks in the NFL.
No,
like,
they've been terrible.
Recently.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely a big quarterback thing. So, that is going to be their first thing is, obviously, with a new head coach, they're going to want to get a quarterback. And talking on the podcast, like, that might be one of the... That's probably the most underrated job because, you have an owner who usually sticks with his coaches like maybe a year too long. They have really good draft picks. They have really good cap situation again. The team is on the rise. You have arguably three of the most explosive young assets that is available in the NFL. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, like, holy shit. You get a quarterback in there, like, even just an average quarterback. Like, if you got Jimmy Garoppolo in there, who's the average of average quarterbacks, like, I think even he could fucking make things happen there. Me and you talked about it. I've mentioned it a bunch of times. Like, I thought if they kept Arthur Smith, Tannehill would be a good one there. But I don't think that's happening now with no Arthur Smith. And I think it's going to be one of the coaching jobs that I think a lot of people are going to be intrigued by. Because if you look at, they got a young defense that improved, and you have Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. You look at any of these offensive coaches coming in, Ben Johnson, any of these other, offensive coordinator coaches, even Jim Harbaugh. Like, you look at those three, hell yeah, I want those three. You just got to figure out the quarterback spot. They're picking in the top 10 again. So they're going to have to figure out, hey, can we move up to get a quarterback? Can we trade for one this offseason? Listening to Dane Brugler on the same Athletic podcast, he thinks the Bears are trading Justin Fields.
Money. Make it to Atlanta. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. So Atlanta, if that can happen, we've talked about that this offseason. Like, if the Bears do move on from Justin Fields, Atlanta would be a great spot for Justin Fields. Great spot. So I would love to see that if that were to happen. So that's going to be one of the ones that we're going to have to keep an eye on.
If I'm Atlanta right now, I look at an offensive head coach. I throw the bag at Ben Johnson. There were reports he wants $15 million. Here you go. Here's your $15 million.
Here's $17 million.
Yeah. Let's make this happen. Yeah. I trade for Justin Fields. I keep the 8th pick. Like, you can move it however you want. If you want to draft another weapon, another wide receiver to pair alongside Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and now you got Bijan, you got an offensive-minded head coach led by Justin Fields, that's probably the route I go. Now, if you want to shore it up a little bit, take one of these awesome offensive tackles with that 8th pick, right? I don't think it's the greatest defensive draft, so I'm probably not really focused there, but you could turn this offense around into an electric dynamite.
If they got Neighbors or a Dunze,
with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, a healthy Kyle Pitts, an offensive-minded guy like Ben Johnson, and a quarterback who can sling it like Justin Fields, that's what I do. And then I probably backfill just as some like, let's call it like insurance for Justin Fields, because you probably only cost you a second, maybe a third. I don't know if it'll actually take a first-round pick, in 25 or whatever, but say it doesn't. Like, I go sniff around like some of these backup quarterbacks that played really well this year. Like, let's see if I can entice them and give them a pretty good financial reward to come be a backup. Like, Justin Fields is going to be our guy, and we make that known from day one, but we really want you as insurance. Drew Lock, Sam Howell, could you go get him and let him be the, the number 2, essentially, where you're like, if something happens to Fields, we're still okay. We'll see what we got in this guy.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if I'm sure it's not hard, but Ben Johnson with a mobile quarterback like Justin Fields, if his offense could adapt to that, because obviously he's worked with Goff the last couple of years, who's not
I think that's probably the best part about Fields, is like where he fits so much, because he wasn't that he wasn't that mobile in college. Like, that was the big knock against him, where like, he doesn't run enough.
Right.
No, he had the weapons. He didn't need to. He just sat back there and picked defenses apart, made big time throws like a pocket passer. So in Chicago, he didn't really have that luxury. You saw this last year. It's DJ Moore and Cole Kmet and fucking nobody else, literally.
Yeah. Next one, Titans. So they just canned Mike Vrabel yesterday.
That was a surprise.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a
fired.
Right. They talked about it on the podcast on there, and they talked about the statement from the Titans owner. Basically, in short words, it was like the collaboration of the team, a new offense, new philosophy. Like, that sounds like that's where the whole statement was pointing towards. So I'm guessing that's why Vrabel got canned, because his philosophy and all that just didn't fit with where they wanted to go. So they made the change. But if you listening on that podcast, Vrabel is a top 5 coach according to them, and according to some people around the league, that they think Vrabel is a top 5 coach in the NFL. I think there's no doubt in my mind that Vrabel lands another coaching job in this cycle.
I would add to that, and I say there's no doubt in my mind that he is the 2024 head coach of the New England Patriots.
If they move on from Belichick, and that's not confirmed yet. I would think so, but man, Kraft could just be loyal, and just stick with Bill another year. But I could see that too. Like, if Vrabel goes there to New England, I could see Vrabel going to Atlanta. I think he could really shore up that defense, and then bring in an offensive mind that can work. The only problem is, he had Arthur Smith there for a couple years who worked wonders, but other than that, he hasn't really produced any offense at all. So that would be my little bit of concern. But if I'm another spot I could see is Carolina too, because they need a culture change, big time, and Vrabel is would change that in a hurry. So I could see Carolina being another good spot for Vrabel. But I think Carolina really wants Ben Johnson, for sure.
I think they really do too. But I would like the Carolina-Vrabel connection. It just hinge on who he brings in to develop Bryce Young in that offense.
Right, yeah.
They have an immense amount of talent on defense now. We'll see if they bring back Brian Burns, but Derek Brown was amazing. Jeremy Chin is also pretty awesome. It's like they have a lot of talent. J.C. Horn is working his way back from his serious injury that he suffered, so I could get behind a Vrabel to Carolina. We'll give a nice sturdy defense. We'll really get this thing fired up on the defensive side. Now we just need somebody to develop slowly Bryce Young and bring him along.
Yeah, and I think the same goes for the Titans too. They got to bring in an offensive-minded coach, I think, to help out Will Levis there. They're going to have to find somebody that wants Will Levis and wants to work with Will Levis. Otherwise, they're going to be doing this again in 2 years.
Yes.
So you might as well get the guy now that wants to buy into Levis and make it work with Levis. But that whole offense needs reworked, man. Derrick Henry's gone. Obviously, they got Levis at quarterback, but Tannehill's gone. DeAndre Hopkins, you might as well just trade him, honestly.
This is what makes buying into Tajay Spears at his current price right now scary, because you don't know who's going to like him, right? We just assume it's the same staff going into next year in our minds, and that, okay, he got a lot of run with this last staff, spelling Derrick Henry. Now Henry's moving on. I want all the Tajay Spears I can get. It could be a situation where that's not their fucking dude. They don't care about him. They don't like him. He doesn't fit what they want to do as offensive scheme, and you're going to pay top 24 running back prices for that right now? That uncertainty? I'm good.
Yeah, there's possibility of what you just said could happen. There's also a possibility that Tajay Spears is just so fucking good it don't matter. which I could see as well. But I'm with you. In a dynasty format, if somebody's paying top 24 running back prices for Tajay Spears, someone's giving me the 112 for Tajay Spears. Here's your Tajay Spears. Send them.
You take them. You have them.
Yeah.
Good luck with you.
Yeah, for sure. Washington. So they're interviewing everybody. I think even me and Mike got invites to do it.
Yeah, it just came yesterday in the mail.
Yeah. I'm going to interview with them later this week.
It was an Amazon Prime box.
Yeah, right. So, they're interviewing literally everybody. They have some special search party. They got the old Warriors GM. They got Rick Spielman. They're bringing probably, Bill Polian. I'm sure they'll bring him in too. They'll probably bring in, I don't know, whoever. They're going to be going for a big name coach. So I could see this being a Jim Harbaugh landing spot. I could see this. We talked about Belichick landing spot if he gets canned. I could see Vrabel as well. I think they're going to go for a big name coach.
I like the Jim Harbaugh one too, right? Because DC is fairly close to Baltimore, so he gets to be around his brother and all that extended family. It's in a different conference in Baltimore, just like it was when it was San Francisco and Baltimore, so they don't have to play each other every single year. I can see a Jim Harbaugh landing in DC, like that being the one to rectify.
Yeah, and he could
history.
be looking at Brian Robinson and Chris Rodriguez, and he'd have a straight up Woody.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
slow ass gross running backs. This is what I want.
Yeah, 60% run share every week.
And he drafts JJ McCarthy with his top pick.
He might.
Who better to hand off to some Brian Robinson and Chris Rodriguez?
Yeah, who better than McCarthy? Nobody.
The shade.
That would fit. We're hearing Vegas too for Harbaugh. I think Vegas. I think Mark Davis kind of wants to make that big splash coach, but I think he's got the players he talks to, the alumni he talks to. I think they're telling him, look, it's got to be Pierce. The players are telling him Pierce. I think it should be Pierce. You think it should be Pierce. Yeah. I think everybody in the world thinks it should be Pierce. If they let Pierce go somehow, I don't think there's any chance Pierce doesn't get a job too. He'll find somewhere. He'll be a head coach.
That could be the fallback for the Commanders right there too.
Another one that I keep hearing about is Anthony Weaver, who's Ravens assistant coach right now. Former player, was with the Texans with their really good defenses with Clowney and Watt and all those guys. And then he's moved on to Baltimore where he played as well. I heard he's like a super big players coach. Players love him, love playing for him. Defensive-minded coach, obviously. I've heard he's kind of ready for a head coaching job, so I think that's one of the dark horses to kind of look out for. But you might have to wait a little bit to get him. Because,
Mike McDonald's going to be another one. Baltimore Ravens, DC. Pretty hot name out there.
Yep. I saw. I think it's Washington. Was Carolina or Washington asked to interview the Eagles offensive coordinator?
Well, go for it.
Yeah, please have him. We'll give you money to take.
You can interview Sirianni too if you really want.
Yeah. Right.
We'll trade him to you just like the Saints traded Peyton to the Broncos. No problem.
Right. So yeah, you got that one too. So I think Raiders for Pierce. Washington, I could see Harbaugh. Do you think there's any other coaches that we haven't heard yet that could get canned, other than Belichick?
Other ones that could get canned?
So if you kind of go through it, AFC East I think is pretty much safe right now.
Yeah.
Other than Belichick, obviously.
Yeah.
AFC North, I think all those guys are safe.
Yep, I'm with you.
AFC South, Jacksonville.
Peterson could be gone.
You think so?
Yes.
I think they already made changes. He fired like the whole defensive staff already.
This is just a repeat of what happened in Philly. Every
Right,
time you
that's
make
exactly
Press Taylor a fucking offensive coordinator, it goes to shit. So
yeah, that's what they talked about with the with there. I could see Frank Reich ended up there too.
God damn it!
You know it's happening.
Stop it.
We should put money on it. You know, and then they'll pick up Boston Scott too. He'll be their RB2.
So then we'll have to wait and see what the Raiders do, what the Chargers do, who they pick.
Yeah, Chargers are another one we didn't talk about. That's another one for Harbaugh. I was listening to the podcast. I forgot about the Chargers. Thank God you brought them up. they talked about how this might be one of the worst coaching jobs to take.
Ooh.
Just because if you ever remember, The Athletic puts out like all those reports of like, how's the athletic training staff? How is the training facilities?
Gotcha.
How is this and that and that? And the Chargers were like F, 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 F on everything. Like the way they do things there is like very cheap. And the Chargers owners actually don't spend any fucking money either, usually. Unless it's like on their own players. Obviously, they spent on Herbert and Bosa. They brought in Khalil Mack, but like they're universally, they're pretty cheap with players and their training staff and training facilities and all that stuff for players. They're also $40 million over the cap going in next year.
The good news for them, though, is they, unlike some of these teams where we were looking at when we were doing our crystal ball prediction, at least for them, they have a lot of cuts they can make to make a lot of cap savings, right? Like Mike Williams, there's $20 million. Right?
Yeah. So that's what they talked
Khalil
about.
Mack, really appreciate your service, but we're going into a rebuild. You know,
Right.
There's $24 million that they save against the cap by letting him go, too.
Right. So that's what they talked about, that maybe this first year is going to suck, and they just take all their cap hits from all these cuts. Just do it now for 1 year, and you just suck for one season. And then 2025, you have all this cap space. You still have an elite quarterback. You still have a pretty solid offensive line, and you rebuild from there. But yeah, these next couple years, you just kind of rebuild from there. So I don't think that's going to be as hot of a job as people think, but you know, maybe it could be a Harbaugh landing spot because they've been pretty hot on Jim Harbaugh, that I've heard, and we'll see how that one ends up. Like, I think somebody's gonna want it just because, hey, I got Justin Herbert. Like, who wouldn't want Justin Herbert? But that team needs a lot of work, because if you're gonna be cutting some guys, you're gonna be cutting Mike Williams, you're gonna be cutting Keenan Allen,
Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack.
yeah,
like
you're gonna cut Quentin Johnston already. Just get rid of him now. I'm just kidding. I mean, they're going to have to really rework because Eckler's gone. Like, all their offensive weapons are gone. Like, if I'm in Dynasty this season, I might want to think about moving Justin Herbert because it might be bad.
Could be very bad. The Bears, I think they announced today or yesterday.
Eberflus is staying.
He's coming back. They did fire Getsy. Thank God.
Yeah.
So he's gone. So no matter what, if it's Fields or if it's a new quarterback, we don't have to put up with fucking Getsy.
Yeah, Packers, Lions, Vikings should be safe.
Falcons, we already talked about. Panthers. What are the Panthers going to do?
I think they kind of get the scraps.
The run to the litter, right?
Yeah, like unless they overpay somebody a lot, like they need a culture change too. So the two names that come to mind for that are Vrabel and Harbaugh. So I think maybe one of those two, but they're going to have to pay $15-20 million a year for one of those guys.
They also kind of feel like they're in a position like Miami was a couple years ago before McDaniel, where like you had a lot of turmoil, the culture wasn't good, the team wasn't good, like you know, the owner's a dickhead, like a pain in the ass to work with.
Right.
Maybe they dig down deep into their bag, right? Like McDaniel was an interesting hire that kind of came out of nowhere, right? Where people are like, oh shit, look at this guy, and a character. I mean, they got to do their deep research, and maybe we get something like that, but they desperately need it. Panthers, Saints are fine, Bucks are fine, Cardinals are fine, Rams are fine, 49ers are fine. The last team I'll have on there is I don't know what's going to happen with Pete Carroll. I don't think he's getting fired, but there's been rumors that he just may walk away. Hang it up.
Yeah, I could see that. I think if he would have announced that by now. But maybe he needs a week to think about it. I don't know.
He might. And we see him run up and down the sideline. The fucking guy takes care of himself. He looks amazing, but he is the oldest head coach in the entire league. We got to remind ourselves of that. Like, Bill Belichick looks like the oldest, but Pete Carroll's actually the oldest fucking coach.
Yeah, he's in his 70s, like 74 or something like that.
Yeah, he's old. So maybe he just decides he's done and walks away.
He could, but he's got a good young team there. I mean, they just missed some pieces this year. They got to get rid of like Jamal Adams and some of these other knuckleheads on their team. But
that was the only one off the top of my head for like surprises that could still happen.
Right. Yeah. So there's Do you think there's any of the playoff coaches who get let go if they lose?
I think they're all pretty safe. Sirianni could be the most surprising, right, in Philly, which
Maybe. I think if Dallas loses to Green Bay, McCarthy could get shit canned.
Man, I would normally agree with you, but I think he built up a lot of goodwill from the changes he made to the offense. And, I think Jerry would still want to run it back. Jerry usually sticks with coaches for far too long. Like,
I could see...
stuck with him forever.
Right. I could see him, if they lost, they shit can McCarthy, and he doesn't want to lose Dan Quinn and gives Dan Quinn the job. I could see that. Yeah. So I think that one is a little interesting. Just kind of looking at some of the other coaches that could, if they lost, would they get canned? If the Bills lost, I don't think they're going to lose, but I could see that one maybe. But I don't think they're going to lose. Yeah. I think Todd Bowles is safe even if he loses. Yep. I think the rest of those guys are pretty safe. But yeah, I would say those would be the two surprising ones. You say Sirianni. I don't think they would can Sirianni this quickly. He's had two pretty good seasons, Yeah, things have fallen apart here at the end.
I think his shtick is running
it
thin,
could
though.
be. Yeah, I mean, he's got to find a better offensive coordinator, I think.
And Lurie's not one to fuck around. Neither's Howie, right? Like, they've been down this road before. Right. I didn't think Peterson was going to get let go as soon as he did. Coming off the first Super Bowl win in Eagles history and being a fucking legend, they let his ass walk. Like, all right, we're good. We're done. And it wasn't a horrible season. It was like, just wasn't as good as it should have been.
Right.
So they let him
go. Was that the Wentz injury season, or no? That was 2 years after.
It was after.
I think it was that Wentz got. Yeah, I think Wentz got hurt, and then he played.
It was Hurt's rookie season where he played he got benched.
Yeah. Okay.
And they played Hurts the last 5 games.
5 games, right? Okay, that's right. Yep. So yeah, there's some interesting coaching. We'll see what happens there. And with some of those situations, I'm curious to see what happens. There's definitely some good candidates out there too. So, like I said, I think there's 5 or 6 openings.
Yeah. Let me.
So we had
final count here.
Yeah.
Nothing in. You might have one in the AFC, Patriots. So that's a maybe.
Okay.
For sure openings though. Titans now. Mm-hmm. 1. Raiders are open as of now.
Yep. 2. Chargers.
Chargers are open as of now. Commanders.
Falcons. Panthers. So we got 6 right now, possibly 7 with the Patriots.
Right.
So let's say you pick your. It doesn't have to be to each situation, but pick the 6 guys you think are going to get hired. Because I think Vrabel for me, Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson, Antonio Pierce is getting hired somewhere.
Yep, that was the top 3. Harbaugh, I think he's going to go. So that's 4 for me.
Okay. My 4th would be Mike McDonald.
Okay, I'm going to go Anthony Weaver. I think he'd be my 5. And my 6th, I know a lot of people really like Aaron Glenn from the Lions too.
Man.
I don't know if he'll get it this round though.
I wonder. I'm gonna go with my 5, Bobby Slowick, Texans OC.
Okay, I could see that one. That's another hot one.
And I'm gonna say, 6. I'll go with Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh. I probably feel the best about him versus like a Bieniemy type.
Right.
Like one of these other guys, one of these other coordinators that we've heard about for a while.
Right. So we'll go Vrabel, Harbaugh, Ben Johnson, Antonio Pierce. Those are our 4 locks. If Belichick gets canned, he's a lock. So that would be 5.
Then we need 7 total.
Yeah. So then I would put, like I said, I put Anthony Weaver in there. You had Mike McDonald, and then that 7th one could be anybody, man.
Ooh, forgot too. Like Dan Quinn is gonna be in that.
Yeah, Dan Quinn. Yep, he's gonna be in there too. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one, man, for sure.
I love it. I love though, like coach. Not that you want to see people lose it. Well, some coaches I want to see lose their job because they've been a pain in my ass all season. But just on the human level, like you hate to see people get fired. But I love talking about it, right? Like the possibilities of what it's going to look like when so and so goes here, and then they don't go there, and then there's always a coach that you're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Right. Another one I forgot to mention that's going to be a hot one is Steve Wilkes. He's going to be another one that's going to get another opportunity.
Second go round. I thought the first time he got the job, like they pulled the trigger on firing his ass way too soon.
Yeah, it was one season. It was a Josh Rosen season.
Like, what are we doing? Right? They just had to get Kingsbury, didn't they? Jesus.
Well, yeah, they're like, oh, he's going to pair up with Kyler so well, and then he's already out of there too.
It's dumb.
Yeah, so that's interesting. All right, for our final segment. Hopefully it won't take too long, but FFPC Playoff Challenge. I bought one. I'm going to have you help me out with it live on air here.
All right.
So what it is, it's not like, Underdog and DraftKings are doing the best ball tournaments where you actually do like a draft and all that. So you could have multiple players on multiple teams. This one's different as where it's starting lineup is quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 4 flexes, a tight end, a kicker, and a defense. So that's 12 spots of the 14 teams. So there's you got to pick one player from each team, and obviously you're going to have 2 teams that you don't pick from. So obviously those teams are going to be, teams that you definitely think are going to lose or whatnot.
They're going to get bounced early. Yeah.
Right. So that's Pittsburgh for me for sure, and the other one is up in the air. I'm going to clear my initial roster that I have here.
The other one I'd go with is the Eagles.
Eagles. Okay, interesting. I had an Eagles player in.
Their offensive weapons are banged up anyways. Like, just kind of.
I had Jake Elliott in as my kicker. That was like my last pick.
Oh, well, it's a kicker.
Right. So on this one, like I said, you can only pick one from each team. So you also got to think too. This is a big tournament with 15,000 people or whatever is in it. So you want to be different than the field too. So like chalk quarterbacks, Josh Allen is going to be a chalk quarterback. Lamar Jackson's probably going to be a chalk quarterback. I think Dak Prescott is going to be a chalk quarterback because he's playing this weekend.
Right.
Some people might still go Mahomes. I don't think a lot of people have Jalen Hurts and stuff like that. The quarterback that I've actually been thinking of doing in this situation is Brock Purdy.
That'd be fair. Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of people are going to have him, and I think there's a good shot they make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was leaning, was Brock Purdy at quarterback. I think a lot of people are going to have Josh Allen, though, because he's going to obviously play this week.
Should get all the weeks, and he has a pretty good shot of making the Super Bowl,
right.
too.
So would you go with Josh Allen over Brock Purdy in this situation?
I think Allen would be my one.
And just take the chalk?
Yeah. Dak would be, especially at the quarterback position, and then I get a little bit riskier at the other positions. Josh Allen would probably be my one. Dak would be my 2. I could get behind Purdy as 3. And then if I didn't want to be chalk, I'm telling you, Eric, I think Joe Flacco's got a realistic shot.
Okay. I mean, I could see it.
Championship at least.
See, I had Buffalo initially as my defense. I don't really, other than Josh Allen, I don't know of another Bills player I really want, because Diggs has been ass. Kincaid is up and down. James Cook is I could have James Cook, and then Fournette's the one who gets the touchdown.
True.
So I think it's Josh Allen or their defense or the kicker. I think that's pretty much what you're going with Buffalo.
Yeah, I don't really want to play Diggs.
Right. So, all right. Well, on this one, I'm going to go with Josh Allen at quarterback since we're talking about it.
Okay.
So now we got to, kind of consider like some of these teams, like their one player that you want. So
you got a little strategy too, because you just got to take one off of every team.
Right. I think the one lock for me on receiver right now would be CeeDee Lamb.
100%.
For Dallas. So I'm going to put CeeDee Lamb in there.
Best.
I think, yeah. So another thing too you got to think of is, since you have 12 players, some of these guys are going to get eliminated week 1. It's just how it is. The numbers don't, you're not going to advance all these guys. So you got to think like, okay, if the Lions lose, who do I want from their 1 week of production? Mm-hmm. So it'd probably be like, I think Amon-Ra, because Laporta's going to be not playing.
Right.
The Rams are pretty decent against the run. I think Amon-Ra would be my Detroit player.
I think Amon-Ra or Gibbs would be.
I mean, Gibbs could be a guy too. I think a lot of people are going to have Amon-Ra. Oh shit! Breaking on the news: Pete Carroll out as head coach.
Hey, sometimes, man. Sometimes I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Every now and then.
There we go. Breaking news. Wow, that's a little shocking to me, but
dude, usually Eric, when you and I get together and I make some fucking prediction on Start Sit Show, and you hit me with the breaking news, I look like an asshole. Finally, I look good. God, thank God.
Yeah, shocker. This is from Schefter. Shocker in Seattle. Pete Carroll is expected to be out as Seahawks head coach. He still could remain in the organization, but not as the head coach.
I just figured with the age and stuff, and they'd been talking about it kind of all season, that he was going to take a step back at some point.
That's going to be a really good job available. That's one of
you know
the
who's
best.
going to get that job?
Well,
He's
Harmon.
coming home, baby. Dan Quinn, back to where it all started.
I could see that. That could definitely.
I'm coming home.
Yeah, I could see that. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's
All
how
right.
he got his rise to fame, right? With Legion of Boom.
Absolutely, that's a good one. I could see like a Vrabel there too, but yeah, I think Dan Quinn makes the most sense. That's probably a good bet.
Oh man, Dan Quinn with Reek Woolen, what should be the defensive rookie of the year. Too. Devon Witherspoon.
Bobby Wagner was with them, so yeah.
Let's go.
I had a hard time picking running backs in this, so I'm with. Let's try it. We'll go with Jahmyr Gibbs on this one.
I'll put Gibbs in, yeah,
Okay.
for at least 1 week.
All right,
And
instead of Amon-Ra.
if he makes it 2 weeks, holy shit.
Yeah, instead of Amon-Ra, because I think Amon-Ra could be chalk.
Yeah.
Another one that I think I really want is Puka. Because they could play 2 rounds, and he's going to obviously be a big part of their offense. And I could see him having a massive game against Detroit.
Yeah, your other wide receiver, let's go Puka. I like that
Yeah,
too.
and plus we have 4 flexes, and I usually fill those with wide receivers anyways. So I'm good with that. So since I didn't use Purdy, I think you just throw Christian McCaffrey in as your other running back, and I don't even worry about it.
Let's go there. Yep.
Okay. So Christian McCaffrey in at running back. So we have 4 flexes, our tight end, kicker, defense.
4 flexes, tight end, and kicker. Defense.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with the tight end. Let's get this one out of the way. I think it's Kelsey. Just because they don't have anybody else. We don't have Laporta. Is Mark Andrews even coming back? I don't even know. You have Njoku, and Njoku could be a very interesting one. We can't do Kittle because we have McCaffrey.
I think I would go in Njoku because you're gonna take a Browns player, and that's probably.
I
the
think
best
I
one to
want.
play.
I think I'd go Cooper over Njoku.
Ooh. Okay.
That's kind of where I was leaning, but I could see. I just don't know what other chief I would take. Like, I think I just go Kelsey because I think he is like their whole offense still.
I think I'd take Bryce at wide receiver if I didn't want to be chalk.
But that's what we talked about earlier. I think Jalen Ramsey locks his ass up, and I don't think he has a good game.
True.
So that's why I'm leaning Kelsey.
But that's only round 1. We both think the Chiefs are moving on, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Kelsey's going to be a big part of their offense. You know they're going to get him the ball. So I think I go Kelsey at tight end.
Okay.
All right, so
There's
we
your
can look
chief.
at some. Yeah,
There's
we can
your
look
tight
at
end.
some.
Now we're 4 flexes, kicker, defense.
Yeah. Miami guy. Do you just take Tyreek and put him as a flex?
If you wanted to be chalk, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
If you don't, HN wouldn't be a bad choice either.
Yeah, I could see that. I still think it's going to be. I think you're right. A lot of people are going to have Tyreek.
If you wanted to be a little bit different, HN could be.
Yeah,
that one.
I think I'd go Tyreek still. I like Cooper, so if we're not going to go Njoku, we could go Cooper. This also is 1.5 tight end premium, so we could go 2 tight ends and go Njoku and Kelsey.
I probably still want just a wide receiver. Like you probably got a
So
lot
I
of
think
good
I'd
wide
go
receivers
Cooper.
out there.
Yeah, so I'll go Cooper. Okay, so we have 4 flexes, or 2 flexes, a kicker, and a defense left.
Another.
So we
flex.
have Tampa Bay, we have a Houston,
Green Bay.
We still have an Eagles, a Green Bay. One of my flexes for Green Bay was Jaden Reed.
That's what I was going to say too. Jaden Reed feels like.
And we have a Baltimore too. I was thinking Zay Flowers could be possible, or we could go with a kicker or defense for Baltimore too.
Let's go with the Baltimore defense.
Baltimore defense, okay.
You think they're going to go pretty deep, and that defense is pretty good.
Right, but I could also see Tucker being a big part
I could go with a kicker too.
And I could go Zay.
I like the kicker and Tucker.
Okay, let's do that. We'll go with kicker as our Tucker. So we have one flex and one defense. So our defense, we'll just lock that up. So we have Houston, Pittsburgh, Tampa, and Philly as our only choices.
Philly, I guess.
Yeah, and hope they go a couple rounds.
Hope they have a couple rounds in them.
Okay. And then our last flex would probably
because if you're going to want something to get eliminated, right? Like you got to pick, and you know you're going to lose stuff. I'd rather lose like kickers and defenses than skill players.
So then our last one for receivers is Mike Evans, Nico Collins, George Pickens, Godwin, Deontay. I don't want to pick a Pittsburgh guy.
No, they're going home.
I don't really want to go with Nico because I think he could get locked up and not have a great game. I do like Mike Evans against that shitty secondary.
Could be.
I could see him having the big game. I think it's kind of on this team I would lean Mike Evans.
What if
Mike Evans or Godwin?
So back to the Baltimore thing. What if we swap that around? We took out Tucker as the kicker, put Zay Flowers in the flex, and then just take one of these shitty teams that's going to get nuked or has a good possibility of getting nuked, and make sure your kickers and defenses are the shitty ones.
Yeah, I like Fairbairn. Fairbairn's been pretty good as a kicker, so I would probably take him.
Yeah, you can go money there.
Okay, so then our team would look like Josh Allen, McCaffrey, Gibbs, Puka, CeeDee Lamb, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Amari Cooper, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, Fairbairn, Philly D.
I get behind that.
Huh. So the one that
not too chalky. Like you got a lot of chalk that you're going to match up with against other people, but you have a few like. I don't think too many people are going to have Zay Flowers, because a lot of people are going to take Lamar or the Tucker thing, or the defense is going to stand out to them.
Right. So this is what I had initially. I went with Brock Purdy.
Okay.
Running backs were Rashad White and Gus Edwards. Wide receivers was CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra. Flexes were Amari Cooper, Tyreek Hill, Puka Nacua, Jaden Reed. Kelsey at tight end. Elliott kicker, Buffalo D.
That one's not too bad either.
No, it's actually the same flexes and receivers that me and you currently have now. We just switched up the quarterbacks, running backs.
Right.
But I kind of like our Josh Allen, McCaffrey, Gibbs is a hell of a lot better than Purdy, Edwards, and Rashad White.
You got a quarterback that could literally play every week.
Right.
And is a hammer quarterback when he plays anyways.
Right, but I could also see Brock Purdy having a monster fucking playoffs again.
And the only downside to him is, the week 1 bye, right? No points for that.
Right, but I also think he could have... He would definitely not be chalk, and he could have a big postseason.
Yeah.
So that's the one I'm debating. Is do I go? Because I think this one could be kind of chalky. The one that me and you just picked.
So if you were going to do it, could you swap out Allen for Purdy, and then you'd have to swap out McCaffrey for Cook?
I mean, I could do that, but I don't necessarily want James Cook. But I also don't want to lose Rashad White in round 1 too if they lose. So I get it.
Right.
But I might lose Gibbs in round 1 too from Detroit.
True.
So it's very interesting. I think, like you said, a lot of people are going to have Josh Allen. I think a lot of people are going to have Dak. I think a lot of people have Lamar. I don't think a lot of people are going to have Purdy. So that's kind of where I'm leaning because we've seen him put up some fucking monster games, man. He could, and his lineup week 1 or playoff game week 1, he could be playing the Rams and
or the Eagles, right?
Yeah, I mean he could have easy games there. I mean, and then the NFC Championship game is what it is. Right. So that's kind of why I'm leaning Purdy, because I think that's going to be different.
Let's go Purdy. Let's be different.
Okay.
And
so if I do that,
full on redemption
So I got to go Brock Purdy. So in that case, then I would take out Philly D, and I think I'd play Buffalo D.
Put the Buffalo D in there. Yeah.
Because I think they could smash Pittsburgh and then,
Pick
you know,
sixes.
still be a really good defense on whoever else they play. And then that would lead me to my running back. Do I just stick in Rashad White again? Like you said, he tore up the Eagles last time. Could I go DeAndre Swift? Or do I switch out somebody else? Do I, like you talked about, do I take out, let's say if we take out Tyreek and we went a chain, that would leave me with a flex spot. I could put up A.J. Brown. I could put up Mike Evans, Godwin, any of the
What if you went with the
Steelers
strategy at kicker and defense, one each from the Eagles, Bucks?
and take out Fairbairn? Okay.
Yeah, well, you know you're going to lose one in round one for sure. But you're just guaranteed to lose a kicker or defense, but you have the opportunity to run in everything else through, you know, for a week.
I got you. I could do something like that, yeah. So, okay, let's say if I did that. If I put Jake Elliott in as my kicker, in defense we take Tampa Bay. Then that gives me, for a flex spot, we could go Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
And have Diggs for the rest of the way.
Yeah.
That's not bad. So I'd have Purdy, Achane, Gibbs, Puka, CeeDee Lamb, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, Kelsey, Elliott, Tampa Bay D. That's not bad. I like that.
I like that idea of being able to sneak through a possible extra flex or running back or wide receiver skill guy and just kind of locking up the fact you're going to lose a kicker or a defense, right? Where you don't spread it out where you might lose a kicker or defense anyways, but you also have another shot at losing a flex or a skill position.
Right. And on all these other ones, other than maybe a chain, we have the number one option on those teams. We have Kelsey for the Chiefs, Diggs for the Baltimore, Cooper for the Browns, Jaden Reed for the Packers, Zay Flowers for Baltimore, Lamb for Dallas, Nakua for the Rams. Gibbs, yeah, you could debate between Amon-Ra, Gibbs, Montgomery, and then Chain, same thing, a Chain or Tyreek, but pretty much got the number one options everywhere.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, this is definitely different. I think I might roll with this one. Hopefully a Chain can get it going there and be the man. I think against Kansas City, I think that would make the most sense.
So the only other thing I would say is just looking at it from like you said, there'd be two teams where you won't have anybody from. But everybody else you can only have one from.
Yeah, so I don't have anybody from the Texans or Steelers.
Yeah, and I'd probably go with that. Like you want to do two teams that you almost are conceding are automatic losses. Steelers easily pass.
Yeah, I'm not saying Houston's an automatic loss either.
So the other one, would you not roll any Dolphins players and maybe take a shot on a Texans player?
It would be Singletary then instead, but do you really want Singletary against the Browns? I think you got to have a Dolphins because their offense is just way too fucking good.
Yeah. I get behind that. I was just thinking there, you know, your guaranteed losses are kind of going to be the ones you want,
Right.
and then you just the rest.
But
of the
I
games
agree
you
with
shoot
you.
your
I think
shots.
a shit ton of people are going to have Tyreek, and it's the Chiefs. They know how to shut down Tyreek. They've practiced against him for years.
Yeah.
So maybe you go with that narrative, like you said, and then focus on a Chain as your guy. So I like that because my running backs were weak. I was just going to roll with Gus at running back because they really didn't have anybody else, and Gus could walk into fucking 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Good. Yeah. I like the chain though. You know, if they pull
And
the
you
outside off, he could fucking smash.
And you like Flowers over Gus Edwards?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd definitely take Flowers over Gus.
Okay. Yeah, I like this one because I think this one could roll pretty deep. Like, there's also some ones where it could change, like Cooper and Njoku. That could be the difference between.
Right.
I think I'm gonna lean Cooper, but I could see Njoku having a monster game too. Like Cooper had the 11 for 265 and 2 against Houston.
Right. And then the next week when he's out, David Njoku was like on
Right.
track to break every record that he just set the week before. And you're like, oh my God.
Right. Jaden Reed's been fucking phenomenal. I think he's easily the Packers guy to pick.
Big shout out to Cody Carpentier for calling that one way back when.
So we are going to lose a flex there between Lamb and Reed. We're going to lose one of them.
Hopefully for you, it's Reed.
Right. That one,
Yeah,
that's interesting too. Like, you're
going to lose something between the Rams and Detroit game, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to lose a Gibbs or a Nakua. That's interesting. I'm going to lose a Kelsey or an A-Chain. So you really need your San Francisco and Baltimore guys to step it up.
So what if it's a scenario too when you're doing it, you're just going through each matchup and you're trying to minimize the shit that you're going to lose.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I like your idea of losing the kicker or the defense. But like you said, some of these games, like Lions and Rams, I don't know who's going to win or lose. Like, it literally could be either of them. Dallas and Green Bay, it literally could be either one.
So it's maximum upside or maximum.
Right. So you have to pick your two that are going to lose. I think definitely
I know on
Pittsburgh.
some of these, and I know you didn't mention it, but on some of these too, like as they go in round, like the points multiply. Does that do that here? You know, like
I don't
divisional
think
games are worth 2 times the points. You know.
Let me look and see if there's.
I just ones in the past I know have been like that. Maybe they're like free contests, so I have no idea how the FFPC has it.
Yeah, let me look at see if there's no like rules section.
Just free for all. Fuck it, we do whatever we want here at FFPC.
All right. Team settings, no. Leaderboard, stats, prizes. Yeah, it's not on here. Playoff challenge. Let's see if there's. Yeah, if you guys also want to get in on these FFPCs, their $200 has 4,165 teams left, and their $35 playoff challenge has 8,262 left.
Oh,
so I might even join another 35, to be honest.
Love it, man. Well, we can also looks like.
Oh, here's the rules. Okay.
I'd say you ride out what you got. I like it. I think we talked through it quite a bit. I'll be rooting for you, too. You're going to need that to pay for that AFC championship ticket.
And then the Super Bowl points will count as double towards the points. So you definitely want to have the Super Bowl guys scoring big. So like Purdy.
Yeah, your Ravens 49ers players.
Ravens 49ers, your Bills.
Bills 49ers.
Yeah, somebody like that.
You're... God help me if it happens, but you're Cowboys.
Right. I mean, so, like, if we think it's going to be 49ers, Ravens, which it could be, I have Purdy and Flowers in the final. That wouldn't be bad.
Oh, man.
So it's very interesting, man. Very interesting how you play it. I might even tinker with this a little bit more, or I might do a second challenge and have 2 of these.
There you go. There you go. Well, I got a little bit of strategy I need your help with.
Sure.
We're on this. I'm doing a best ball. It happens to be a 14-team best ball Dynasty startup.
Okay.
So super flex, all that jazz. Quarterbacks on the warp scale by far and away, even though it was a bad year for quarterbacks, leading the pack. You know how 14 teams are. I have the third choice in Derby. Okay. So you're going to assume 1 and 2 are gone.
Right.
Would you go 3 or would you go 14 in a third round reversal best ball?
3 or 14. And it's not a dispersal or anything, right? It's
nope. Brand new startup.
Brand new startup. Yeah, I think I would go 3 and make sure I get my stud quarterback.
Get one of them.
Yeah. I always want stud quarterback, so that's where I lean. Easy.
Right. So you got what? Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, CJ Stroud's in that conversation for sure.
Yeah, I actually recently just did my quarterback rankings on the
Dude, let's do this. Let's
on
look at
the
these.
South Harmon rankings here. I'll pull it up here real quick. Yes, if you did go on there, I do go 83 deep at quarterback.
You fucking savage.
So I have it Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, C.J. Stroud is my top 6.
Okay, how big of the tier break is it for you between like your third, Patrick Mahomes, and the next one, Lamar Jackson?
Not very far. Like I could honestly, like if you wanted to take Lamar over Mahomes because of the rushing, I wouldn't hate it.
Now let me ask you then, how big is it from Mahomes to a guy like, we talked bad where Herbert might be a little bit scary, but let's say Anthony Richardson for you. How big of a fall off is that?
It's definitely a tier break for sure. In between that, I would say like I would probably need Richardson and a first on top of that to get Mahomes.
Okay. What about Stroud? What would you add to Stroud?
Maybe like 2 seconds.
Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Like in a best ball league too, would you even be comfortable adding 2 seconds?
Right. Yeah, that's tough. Yep.
Like maybe
Now
a second?
is this point per carry at all?
I don't believe so.
Okay, because I was gonna say if it's point per carry, I might move Lamar over Mahomes.
Gotcha. So here's what I'm thinking from a strategy aspect. Like 3 or 14 is kind of where I was. But if I'm going to pick at the front because you want to lock up quarterbacks, how deep does that quarterback go where you feel pretty comfortable, where it's like, this isn't too far off, and I let everybody else make the decision in front of me? And there may be somebody who jumps up and takes a CMC, a Bijan, a Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase type.
Right.
The rookie
So if I
101.
were you, I think Allen and Hurts will probably go 1-2.
Correct. So you're missing out on those two.
People still value Patrick Mahomes as like the super god.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you're on the clock at the third pick, people are gonna be like, "Oh, I gotta get Mahomes, gotta get him." Where in reality, if you got Lamar, Burrow, or Stroud, I don't think it's that far off. So if you could take your pick 3 and make sure you move back with the 4, 5, or 6 team and get a little, something on it. Yep. I think I'd be comfortable doing that.
Okay. Get you.
And you get some extra assets and you still get Lamar, Burrow, or Stroud.
Because the other part of the strategy is, do you take like pick 5 or pick 6? Then not only is your second round pick earlier, but your third round pick, being third round reversal, is a little bit earlier, a little bit better.
True.
And you still walk away with a pretty damn good quarterback with that first pick.
Right. So let's say you pick 14th, right? Now I know 14 quarterbacks probably aren't going to go, but let's say Bijan and Justin Jefferson go in those picks. So we'll go to 12.
Yep.
Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Stroud's my top 6. Richardson, Herbert, Tua, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott. That's my top 12. And then Fields is 13 if you want to throw Fields in there. I know you might have Jordan Love a little higher, Trevor Lawrence, whatever.
Right.
Do you feel comfortable starting your team with, say, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Justin Fields? Or you can get 2 of those guys even.
In a 14-team league, I'd feel good about Dak Prescott.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how you want to start.
Honestly, that's also good too, because then you get the third round reversal too. I think at 14, though, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to probably take 2 quarterbacks.
And that's the thing. If I pick 14, I don't want to take 2 quarterbacks because it feels like you're chasing everybody else.
Well, yeah, and then honestly, with your third pick, since it says third round reversal, you could still get Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Stafford.
Now, being that it is a fresh startup, the only benefit is I don't know where people are going to take these rookie picks. So there's a possibility that you walk away with the 101 and the 103 or the 102 and the 103. You know what I mean?
That's true, too, yeah.
You double tap it at 14, 15, and you're like, all right, I'm taking Drake May or Caleb Williams, and I'm going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. with my other one.
Mm-hmm. Another one you could do at 14 is take Dak and CeeDee Lamb.
Ooh,
get
the
the
double stack.
Yes. I think that's a very good possibility you could get, too, is Lamb and Dak.
And CeeDee's one of the top warp options in this league.
Exactly.
Number 6. Even in
I think you got options. You got options for sure. If you want to lock up that Stud receiver too, man. I think you could definitely get it. Like even if you, if you didn't, if Lamb went or something, you could still go Jamar Chase and Dak. I don't hate that.
Gotcha. Yep. I think it's an interesting one just to talk about. 14-team leagues bring so much more to like, fuck, you need quarterbacks in the worst way.
Yes. Yeah.
And Adam and I were talking about it on 4D when we did it live, and it'll come out on Friday, so you guys can listen to that one. But we were talking about just think about like all the warp graphs and stuff, and how much emphasis we put on quarterbacks, and how bad of a year it was for quarterbacks in general. Mm-hmm. Like almost every league suffered, right? Allen, Hurts were good, but even like their peaks weren't as good as they have been in the past. Mahomes struggled, Burrow injured, Herbert injured, Trevor Lawrence was booty cheeks, right? Like the quarterback position was kind of gross. Mm-hmm. So if you go and you look at a warp graph and the quarterbacks are already head and shoulders above everybody else, what do you think fucking happens if we return to the glory days of quarterbacks scoring 25 fantasy points per game and just dominating? Like, holy shit.
Right.
So there is kind of that appeal, like still picking 3, kind of like we're talking about, is like, you just take one of the hammers and you hope you get back to the glory days of those guys just absolutely wrecking your league, even in a best ball, or it's like good luck every single week.
Right. True.
Because we didn't have very many big quarterback performances, right? Mm-mm. Like you remember like some of those league-breaking ones that we had from like Lamar Jackson, where he's putting up 60 or 70 fantasy points.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's not many that can do it. So, yeah, it's a tough choice between what you want to do there.
I just thought it was an interesting one to talk about, but
yeah, no, for sure,
it's a good one,
for sure. Do America's favorite game and then get the hell out of here.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Trying to think of a good one. I might have done this one with Scott a long time ago, but I don't think I did it with you. Let's go favorite NFL playoff memory.
Ooh, favorite playoff memory. Vikings, Eagles, NFC Championship game, 2017. That's an easy one for me.
Okay. Mine was... This is when I was a big Eagles fan.
That's actual playoffs. Like, my favorite memory was, watching Brandon Graham strip Tom Brady and Derek Barnett recovering the football.
I mean, it could be a Super Bowl. Yeah, we'll go with the regular playoffs. That's fine.
But I love that. I love that Vikings Eagles NFC Championship game because I was kind of worried about it.
But we wasn't even close.
Well, we came into it, and if you guys remember the game, anyways, the Eagles drove right down the field, scored a touchdown. Case Keenum and the Vikings came right back, and I believe it was Kyle Rudolph who scored their touchdown. They drove right down the field on us, and I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. Like, back and forth, I am going to shit my pants. I don't know I think maybe we got a field goal on the next drive, or it was a punt or whatever, but it was still close. And then Keenum threw a pick six.
Yeah.
And after that, the fucking floodgates were open. After halftime came out, they let Nick Foles throw a fucking flea flicker deep to Torrey Smith. He was still hanging around on the Eagles, big part of that Super Bowl run. And it was an absolute fucking blowout. And, I live around a lot of Vikings fans. I know a lot of Vikings fans. And just texting them all the time, rubbing the shit in their face. Just, it was fucking amazing just watching that ass whooping.
Oh, yeah. I think mine was the Eagles finally getting over the hump against the Falcons in 2004.
Oh, yes. Where that was the third straight or fourth straight NFC Championship game?
We lost 3, and that was the 4th one.
Yep.
That we made it, finally. And, us being guys in school, I'd always fucking hear it from my friends and giving me shit whenever the Eagles would lose. Those were hard times.
Back in the day.
The Rams one, like, we could have stopped that fucking Rams dynasty from ever happening in 99.
Right.
Like, we should have won that one. Like, that was a close game.
The Buccaneers beat the shit out of the Eagles.
The Buccaneers, yeah. That pick six to Rondé Barber.
Well, yeah, that was such a good Bucs team, though. Warren Sapp, Rondé Barber.
Oh,
Derek
yeah,
Brooks.
it was a very good team. They went on and smashed the Raiders. Then we lost to Carolina, and oh, man.
Fucking Jake Delhomme.
Yeah, Jake Delhomme, Steve Smith, Steven Davis. I love Steven Davis. How we lose to
Jake fucking Delhomme?
Right. Deshaun Foster was their running back, and I don't even know if they had Steven. I think it was Davis and Foster. Foster had a touchdown run in that one. They beat our ass in that one, and it just wasn't the same. Then when the Eagles went and traded for T.O., and
those were a great year. That was a great
year.
That
was a great season, yes. I went to my first Browns-Eagles game, wearing Eagles shit, getting shit thrown at me in the parking lot.
Let's go.
Yeah, that whole Owens and McNabb season was just fucking magical, and then whatever happened between those two happened. Well, but I loved that NFC Championship game against Atlanta. Obviously Vic came in. He was like, talk of the league. Algie Crumpler was sweet that year. I think they had Peerless Price was their star receiver. He got shut the fuck down.
Peerless Price of Madden fame too, because like you always used to run.
Yeah, he had like 98
Michael
speed.
Vick. Yeah, and you just chuck it deep to Peerless Price.
Yep. So he was their work done. He was another fast player. They had T.J. Duckett was the other running back.
Michigan State T.J. Duckett.
You remember Dawkins lighting up fucking Crumpler over the middle too?
Sure do.
That changed the whole tone of that game. He just fucking smashed Algie Crumpler. And Crumpler was like the 6'7", 290 fucking monster tight end, and fucking Dawkins just lit him up. It was
he didn't care.
No, did not care. So that's probably my favorite memory. Finally getting over that hump. Finally going to the Super Bowl. I really thought the Eagles were going to beat the Cardinals that one year. We had the NFC Championship game. We played in Arizona. I thought we were going to beat them. Like, we were a better team. We were turning the fucking ball over left and right. Yep. Should have beat them. I don't know if we would have beat Pittsburgh, but...
they were kind of on the heater.
Yeah, they were on a heater. So, yeah, that one. A couple other memories of just watching games. Like, I remember there was a Rams-Panthers game that... It might have been the Rams-Panthers game that got the Panthers to play the Eagles. It was just a overtime first... I think it was like the first play of overtime. It was a quick slant to Steve Smith, and he was fucking gone. He caught it and was just straight up the middle, gone. No one touched him. That was another one that I was like, holy shit, because that was a good back-and-forth game.
The Tebow versus the Steelers.
Oh, yeah,
slant
I love
to Demarius
that game.
Thomas walk-off was a great one.
Yeah,
I loved watching the Music City Miracle in person. Not in person, but on TV, watching that one.
Same.
Obviously, Super Bowl memories, the Rams-Titans.
The Tuck Rule game was a great game, because I remember watching like the pre-show, for the games earlier in the day. They're like, oh yeah, the snow's coming here in Pittsburgh. They've been hyping, or New England, they've been hyping it up all day. It was a big game between the Raiders and the Patriots. That was the AFC Championship game, AFC Championship game, and just we're gonna get like 8 feet of fucking snow. So they hyped that game up pretty big. There's so many ones, but that's the one I remember the most was the Eagles finally getting over the hump.
Yep, there were some great ones in there. Obviously, the most recent one that I can remember, was one of my favorites, is that Chiefs-Bills game. Patrick Mahomes down the field in 13 seconds that game. Yeah,
that was crazy.
What the fuck? This is amazing. Yeah. This is the wildest game ever.
Back in my early days, I was like everybody, hated the Patriots, hated Tom Brady, all that. But as I grew older, I appreciated the Patriots more and appreciated Tom Brady for what I was watching. So Brady's had some good ones. That Colts coming back against the Patriots, they were down quite a bit, and then Peyton Manning led them back there at the end, and then Marlon Jackson caught the interception to send the Colts to the Super Bowl. That was another really good game, because the Colts had to really battle back from that one.
See, I didn't hate the Patriots. I actually rooted for them in their first 2 Super Bowl wins, right? Like, sitting there. I didn't like the Panthers, obviously, because you know what happened there. Right. Fuck you guys. The Rams, same thing. Like, fuck you guys. So I was rooting for the Patriots. And then by the time they got to their 3rd Super Bowl, like, my Patriots love affair was done, and it's been hate ever since. Like, I hope you suffer forever. Like, I'm done with you. It's kind of like Alabama, because Florida had that great run in college football, and they kept going to national championships and the SEC title games. So when Alabama first, knock them off. I was a big Bama fan, like rooting for them hard. And then in the national championship, I was all about Alabama. And ever since then, it's been like, fuck you. I hope you lose by 1 billion.
Right. The other one that I really remember was the Patriots-Chiefs AFC Championship game where Frank Clark was offside, and
Yes.
it would have ended the game basically. But then they called it, and the Patriots went on and ended up winning that in OT. That was the famous Robert Kraft went to Florida to get jerked off by an Asian girl, and then came back to win the championship game.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Nice job. Like, what a fucking hero Robert Kraft is. Like, just have the balls to go to Florida, from New England to Florida, get jerked off, then fly from Florida to Kansas City and watch your team win. Like, what a day. What a fucking day.
What about that time the Raiders were in the Super Bowl versus the Bucks and that player went missing?
Oh, yeah.
I think he was offensive lineman.
Yeah, I don't even remember who it was.
He went down to Mexico and, never made it back for the game. What the fuck are we doing? It's Super Bowl week. How do you get to Mexico and then just never come back?
Yeah.
That one kind of got brushed under the rug, though. Like, that was go look it up. I promise you it's a true story. There was a Raiders player who went missing.
Yeah, I remember that game.
They eventually found him, but, like, he was passed out,
Yeah.
Drugs and booze.
Was another one that was really good back in the day? Ravens Titans was that? Was that an AFC Championship game? I think the Ravens went into Tennessee and beat them. I think it was. It wasn't even an AFC Championship game. I think it was the divisional round, and then they went on to play the Raiders. Then they went to the Super Bowl. I think is how it worked out.
Now the Ravens and the Steelers have had a lot of nice playoff matchups too.
Yeah,
over the years.
there's been a couple of those were good. Yeah,
Steelers Bengals had a couple. Yep. The Carson Palmer, when they actually started to make that run, like I thought they were going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Playoff time, man. I'm ready for it.
Absolutely, me too.
Plus, you get to watch it without having to check your phone, see scores. And,
True.
Am I going to lose this week? I just watch football, which is nice.
Just
sometimes.
watching. Yeah, for sure. All right, well, that is it for this week's America's Game. We will be back next week. We'll start diving into more off-season type stuff here. But no, appreciate having you on, Mike, as always.
Anytime.
Yeah. At Eric Vanek NFL, at America's Game Pod. Make sure you guys follow that. I have been getting a lot of new followers every single day on both my accounts, so it's been great. Love all these random women with fake pictures that have just been following me, so it's been absolutely awesome. Thanks, guys.
Eric's on a heater.
Yeah, big fans, real big fans, like
keep it up.
Double D type fans. Love it. I just these random ass bots just following me for some reason. I don't know. But no, appreciate those guys following me. At Iowa Michael, follow him on Twitter as well. At South Harmon FF. Yeah, at South Harmon FF. Follow that on YouTube and Twitter as well. We've got all kinds of good stuff going on there as well. Anything you got, Mike, before we head out?
Just head over to my Twitter. Follow it every single day. I tweet at Sleeper to bring us college fantasy football. You already have the damn props in place. You already have a stat counting system because I could see the history of what they score in fantasy points. Make it fucking happen. I'm on day 40. By the time you guys, watch this, it'll be day 41. So, just retweet it. Like it. Whatever. You don't even have to follow me. Just look at that post. I'm going to get these sons of bitches. Sleeper, I'm coming for you. I'm in full petty mode. This is going to go on for infinity. I'm never stopping.
Absolutely. All right. Well, until next week, guys, we will see you. Have a good one.
Peace.